Chances are if you watch this channel you own a motorcycle, or maybe you're thinking about buying one, or at worst you did own one at some point in your life. You know and have felt the thrill, the rush, the absolute exhilarating magic a motorcycle can bring you, tasted the freedom, felt the camaraderie, and enjoyed the solitude and reflection of a long distance solo passage. You lucky bastard. For you are one of only a handful of generations that have ever had the opportunity to feel that, to enjoy it, live it, breathe it, and marvel at the sheer wonder of the most perfect machine made for mankind. For obviously motorcycles were only invented just before 1900. Take my family. My grandfather was born around 1915, so his father was the first of my bloodline who could have possibly rode. He saw the very first production motorcycles hit the dirty streets of London's East End, where he, his wife and their 8 children fought out a meagre living, or rather a fight for survival in Canning Town. And it was a hard fight, with 3 of their children dying at a very young age, and even his beloved wife dying of malnutrition, or simply put, starvation, as she fed everyone else before herself. To the best of my knowledge, I don't think my great-grandfather ever rode a motorcycle. My grandfather rode from a young age. He was not going to pass up that opportunity when it came knocking on his door. As a young man, he participated in grass track racing on his old Indian Scout. This would have been in the 1930s. Then he went on to own dozens of British bikes, Triumphs, Ariels, Nortons, BSA, etc. He rode to work, he rode for fun, he rode all year round. He rode all over the UK and rode much of Europe just after World War II. My dad also rides. His introduction to motorcycles was a Vespa GS 160 scooter. In 1964, he was storming into Brighton in his shrink-fit Levi's with an old beaten-up Parker, his hair cut neat, a dozen coloured lights on the front of his ride, leopard skin seat, raccoon tail on the back, and the tiny engine screaming its death cry. My dad still rides. He is now 76. He currently has a Triumph Speed Triple and is also having a GS scooter restored so he can relive his youth once again. He is probably at home right now searching on eBay for an old Parker or trying to find that leopard skin seat covering. Good on him, I say. I can't wait to see him riding to Brighton on that scooter. He has had a few sport bikes during his life, but I think he has always been a mod deep down at heart. I think our youth never really truly abandons us. The mirror won't tell you that, but inside we are young, forever young. A recklessness resides patiently waiting for you to recall the fact. I call my dad the ghost because a few years back he dropped dead on the way to work. He had a cardiac arrest outside a plumber's merchant's he was aiming to go in. He has always been a lucky bastard, and he'll be the first to tell you that. He got out of his old Land Rover and just dropped dead in the road. He doesn't remember it. He was on the corner of a busy junction, and if any car had come round the corner, he could have been run over in an instant. The man who owned the plumber's shop luckily knew my dad, saw him pull up and wondered why he hadn't come inside. He looked out and spotted my dad laying under his Land Rover in the road. He told his wife to ring an ambulance, ran outside and began CPR on my dad within a minute. This guy is an absolute hero. By sheer chance, an ambulance was parked less than 200 yards away in the same street. I told you my dad's lucky. When they got the call, they looked down the road and could actually see the Land Rover from where they were parked. They sprang into action and then they zapped my dad with a defibrillator and brought him back to life, and he was rushed to hospital. He was back at work within 2 months. He loves work more than anything. Wild horses could not tear him away from his job. No one or nothing could make that man retire. And so he cracked on like nothing had happened. Anyway, so the ghost will soon be on the road to Brighton. A little less testosterone than when he was 16 in 1964, but watch out for him. Viva Top Mod. So me, obviously, yeah, I ride. As sure as the sun will rise, I will keep on riding. My daughters do not. So my bloodline of riding will probably end on me. I'm quite probably the last rider of my line. How lucky am I? I feel lucky every day I wake. I feel lucky every day I go to bed. And in between I try to cash in on that luck, make it count for something. Because you have to, man. I mean, I've got to work. I have to keep the taxman happy. I have to eat, pay the bills, but I do get free time. I appreciate it when it comes. I enjoy my motorcycle a lot. I try my best not to take life for granted. Modern Homo sapiens have been running around causing chaos on Earth for some 200,000 years. Think of all the times in your life you nearly died. One slip up and you ain't here. I can think of a good few myself where I come close, way too close for comfort. I've said it before in a previous episode, but I had a gun pulled on me in Portugal. It was a moment, let's say that. Another time, around a year earlier, I run for my life in Oceanside, California, as I got chased out of a bus station by a gang in an attempted mugging at midnight. My skateboard quite probably saved my life that night. That and the fact the pavement was very smooth and ever so slightly downhill helped enormously. The fact a cab was waiting on the corner a few hundred yards up the road was a result. The fact I jumped in, the fact he pulled away so quickly, the fact I was always switched on and no matter what time of day or night I had my wits about me, I was always reading the scene and looking for an escape route. I was once loading the back of a work van. I was 22 years old. I stepped away to pick up some more stuff from the lawn. As I did, a drunk driver crashed into the back of that van at 70 miles an hour. It shunted the van way down the street and the van was literally shrunken to half its original length. If I'd taken a few seconds longer to load the tins in that van, I'd be a puddle of soup right now. I can think of many other occasions, many are drug related. There have been angels looking over me, I know, so many times. But now, how about this? Think about the night your folks got it on and conceived you. Don't go into detail, obviously. But the odds on you winning that race. You may be slower now, but you sure as hell weren't that night. You had the speed and the grit to win. So when you hear people say, I never win anything, it's not true that. You won when everything counted. Life itself was on the line. You won, you took gold. But how about the build-up to your folks choosing that night to get it on? Anything could have happened. Mum had a headache, dad too tired, friends turned up. Think of the tiny trivial things that could ruin sex. Any one of 1,000 and you ain't here, Jack. Or how about the many things that had to go right for the build-up for your parents to meet? Think about it. It could have been something so simple as your mum's best friend said, let's go somewhere else tonight, changed plans and didn't meet your dad. Boom, Bobby, you ain't here, son. Then you start looking back 200,000 years. Your ancestors go back thousands of generations. Thousands of people had to find each other. One of them had to have the nerve to approach the other. They had to find one another mutually attractive and get on enough to have sex. The female had to carry the baby, live for 9 months, give birth safely. Then the young one lived long enough for he or she to be able to face life's struggles alone. Then it had to happen thousands of times over and over. Motorcycles are dangerous, they say. Think of what they had to go through. I mean, we think Earth is dangerous now. They had the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, Iron Age, the greatest threats from the Spanish, the Greeks, the French, the Mongols, the Huns, the Persian Empire, the Roman Empire, the British Empire, and a bitter little bastard who looked a dead ringer for Charlie Chaplin even tried his luck at taking over the world. So all these thousands of generations did happen. 1 trillion things had to fall into place over and over again for 200,000 years for you to be you, right now, right here. And not only that, someone had to invent a motorcycle, figure out all the complexities that make it work. You had to bust your balls, save the money to get one, for you to be the proud motorcycle owner. And yet, my good friend Ron the Welder just bought a 1985 Softail Standard, completely original, back from the good old USA with just 5,000 miles on it. A 39-year-old bike, a motorcycle that's been on Earth 39 years, or 18,252 months, a long, long time. Someone was lucky enough to have gone through 200,000 years of infinite bloody lucky breaks to be there in New York City and own it. And they only rode it a mere 5,000 miles. As a comparison, I rode 4,000 miles on my first trip on my current motorcycle. That was a 3-week trip, and a week of that I lay on my back on an Italian beach. We are the lucky ones, man. So lucky, and we've got it easy. The world is still a tough place for many. Starvation still a thing, genocide still going on, slavery still out there, homelessness, droughts, floods, whole communities facing displacement with conflicts left, right and centre. If you are sitting at home with a roof over your head, watching this shit and have a motorcycle that works and you are able to ride, you are one lucky fucker. Therefore, so am I. Together, on whom fortune shine.